Hello, good evening, and welcome to Eye on Port here on Metropolitan Television. Eye on Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Port Services (MPS). The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority (GPHA). Our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. And so if you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show tonight. Indeed, we are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are streaming live at Ghana Port and Harbours Authority. Ghana Port and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are streaming live at Port of Tema, and on YouTube, we are live at Eye on Port. Eye on Port. Indeed, we shall be getting interactive with you, and so all you have to do is send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559019177. 0559019177. At appropriate time, we shall share them with the rest of the world. Indeed, we shall also be getting interactive with you, and so all you have to do is to give us a phone call when we activate the phone lines, and when the time is due, my production team will tell us, and I'll announce the phone lines, and you can call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a very quick break. When we bounce back, we'll continue with the show. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, Goyle makes good things happen. This time, Goyle has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goyle Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goyle has that sorted. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And in the course of the week, the Sector Commander of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Julius Kantum, officially retired from the GRA, and there was this pull-out ceremony to officially show that he has exited the service. Plus the fact that the Port of Takoradi also in the course of the week held a Thanksgiving service to thank the Lord for how far he has brought them and what 2022 looked like. Let's take a look at these stories and more.
The Tema collection of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has formally sent off its sector commander, Aweya Julius Kantum, as he bows out into retirement. The impressive ceremony brought together members of the Customs fraternity, including outgone and present commissioners, deputy commissioners, and assistant commissioners, as well as representatives of key stakeholder institutions. According to Customs, the assistant commissioner who took charge of the Tema sector in February 2021 leaves with an outstanding record.
Your meticulous vetting of documents on the ICOMS platform to establish the correctness of value, HS, and the origin of goods in line with WCO standards without compromising on trade facilitation was the guiding principle on your administration when you took over in February 2021. This skill and knowledge manifested in high tax performance, where the collection significantly reduced the tax variance of negative 16.39% recorded in the year 2020 to negative 3.95% for the year 2021. To climax this success, the collection recorded a variance of positive 7.83% for the year 2022.
The Commissioner of Customs, Seidu Idrisu Idisa, said the achievement of AC Aweya Julius Kantum is testament to his impressive leadership and character throughout his 37-year career.
Mr. Kantum has distinguished for his steadfast attitude and due diligence toward his job. His attitude towards work is truly inspirational for those of you who have worked under him. And we hope the young do not only look at the inspiration he gave them, but copy from him.
The outgoing sector commander, Aweya Julius Kantum, thanked his team for working assiduously with him to achieve the revenue and trade facilitation goals of the division for Mother Ghana.
I'm particularly proud that I'm leaving GRA on a good note, as we in Tema collection have been able to exceed our annual target by 7.83% as at 1st December. It is no secret that when Tema performs very well and exceeds its target, it takes care of the shortfalls of other collections.
He urged the younger generation to draw inspiration from his near 4 decades of service to remain steadfast, diligent, and patriotic.
To the incoming sector commander, I wish you well. I'm very confident you will deliver on the mandate and even exceed expectations. Stay focused. Ignore the noise. You have a job to do.
Aweya Julius Kantum has been succeeded by Assistant Commissioner Christiana Ajay, who previously served as Sector Commander of the Accra Collection. The management and staff at the Port of Takoradi have held their annual Thanksgiving service to show gratitude to God for his faithfulness for the year 2022. The gathering also served as an opportunity for management to brief staff about key developments ongoing at the port and the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority at large. The Director of Port, Ebenezer Afedzi, revealed that the authority has made provision to enhance skills of staff to man the new facilities at the port.
In view of the expansion projects, management is planning to send a lot of our staff out there to, especially the marine staff, out there to learn new techniques.
He added that the port recorded lower number of vessel calls mainly because many smaller vessels were replaced by bigger vessels during the year.
The sole agent for bauxite last year is here, that is Marco. You know that way back last year, they were loading only up to about 30,000 tons. Now they are bringing ships loading up to 70, 80, and so. So it means one ship this year is equivalent to 2 ships last year. So our vessel cost the normal has gone down. Doesn't mean we did not do well.
The director of Port urged all staff to continue the hard work exhibited in previous years towards the realization of the authority's goals.
And all departments, staff majority, I can say about 90% of the staff work very, very well.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry that took place in the course of the week. We have a short message from the Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. It's a New Year message, barely 3 minutes. Let's take a look at it.
On this occasion of the beginning of the year 2023, it is my honor on behalf of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Board of Directors and Management and all staff to wish everyone within the port community, the staff of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, our board, our stakeholders, customs, shipping lines, shipping agents, freight forwarders, and our cherished importers and exporters, and all major public sector institutions that are supporting the Port Authority to deliver cargo services to our economy. I wish all of us a very, very, very prosperous 2023. We are looking forward to a year that will be better than 2022. We have all been unfortunate to witness 2022, where the global economy has been in crisis and Ghana has also been affected. We noticed a decline in cargo traffic to our ports, but we've been able to survive the year. And we believe with all the efforts government is making to reposition our economy, 2023 is going to be a better one for the ports, a better one for importers and exporters, and a better one for our country. Happy New Year and all the best for the coming year.
All right, welcome back. That was a special New Year message from the Director General, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Mr. Michael Luguje. It's now time for us to take the word of the day. And remember, the word of the day is brought to you so that we can bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons in the shipping industry. Today's word is manifest. Manifest.
A manifest is a compilation of information about the goods carried on a means of transport, either ship, airplane, truck, rail wagon, and barge, together with the information about the means of transport, such as its identification, characteristics, and routes.
All right, so welcome back. It's now time for us to zoom into our discussion proper tonight. And barely a fortnight ago, the Ghana Shippers Authority, together with the freight forwarding fraternity in the country, signed the new rates for the freight forwarders in the country. That's the 2023 rates. And so tonight we are examining some of the ingredients and elements that went into the signing of that agreement, and some of the products that have been affected and all that. We couldn't have gotten a better person to help us digest the issues tonight, but the Head of Logistics, Freight and Logistics at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Mr. Fred Asedu-Date, who is here with us in the studios. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, he's no stranger to the show, and so let me say Happy New Year. It's in order?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. And also with us in the studios is Mr. Paul Kwabna Mensah, PK Mensah. He was the one that actually initialed that document for the freight forwarders as representing the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. And we also had the Executive Secretary of the COFA, that's the Committee of Freight Forwarder Associations, yes. Nana Fredo Ajimofriata, who was also there to give some form of assistance. And so he is the one we are doing the discussions with, the two gentlemen. And so let me say welcome and Happy New Year to you too, Mr. PK Mensah.
Many, many happy returns.
And good to have you in the studios, at least for the first time for the year 2023, same as Mr. Asedu-Date. Let me first of all begin with Mr. Asedu-Date, and find out from you what led to the engagement with the freight forwarders, for the signing of this particular important document, which is their rates that they'll be operating with, the services that they render to the importing public. And when was the last time that such, a document was signed?
All right, thank you very much. I think it's always important to begin from the very beginning.
Right.
So the Ghana Shippers Authority is established to promote and protect the interests of shippers. And in so doing, one of the key mandates we have is to ensure that shippers, have a fair rate in terms of the services that are rendered in the shipping value chain. And so the establishment law of the Ghana Shippers Authority, and in this particular case, the LI, indicates and in fact confers on the Ghana Shippers Authority the responsibility to engage shipping service providers, and negotiate on behalf of shippers their charges. So we have done this over time. In this particular case, with let me say, Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, or with the Freight Forwarders Fraternity. Yeah. Thankfully, now they've come under the umbrella of the Committee of Freight Forwarders Association, which is KOFA. And so we had the engagement. But you also asked when was the last time we had this engagement. That was sometime in 2016.
2016, okay.
Yes. And it has been a very long time since we engaged.
2016 was the last time you held such negotiations?
Yes.
Okay.
And so with the 2016 negotiations, we came up with some acceptable rates that was applied over the years. We have had challenges and difficulties, so we haven't been able to engage and review those charges.
Right.
And 6 years down the line, you can understand that those rates are quite outdated because as it is, for instance, the exchange rate.
Yes.
At the time when we had the last negotiation, the CD was going for $3.9.
Wow.
But as at the time we're engaging
$1 equivalent to 3.9 cedis.
Oh, yeah. So that is $1 was going for 3.9 cedis. Yeah. Yes. But in 2022, when we started the engagement, the dollar had shot up to about 11 cedis, 4 pesos.
Right.
And that is a jump of about 180%.
Yeah.
Yes. Another major reason is that you realize even though this rate was still applied, it didn't seem to meet the needs of the freight forwarders. And consequently, a number of them, every now and again, would charge above the agreed rate.
Right.
We have received a number of complaints, and we thought that was sufficient basis for us to open negotiations and come to some realistic rates that would meet their needs and then consequently serve the interest of shippers. Because if you don't have every charge properly catered for within a framework, then you give avenues to people who may want to take advantage of the system, and then the shipper would be at the losing end. And so what the authority sought to do, and in consultation with KOFA, was to open up the discussions, and then see how we can come up with realistic rates that would serve the interest of shippers and, of course, their business as well.
All right. So let me come to you and find out your take on the negotiations as we sat around the table and, George with the Shippers Authority until the final, initialing of the document.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mona. Before the start of the negotiations, we had a lot of complaints from our members because it is not easy keeping a tariff for 6 years, still counting, whilst other stakeholders are reviewing their tariff almost every year. And so we had a tough time to sort of, explain to them, to exercise patience until the invitation came. After the 2016 tariff, it was meant for 2 years.
Right.
And 2 years, came to 2018, of which we wanted to start. And then I think the ICOMs had now been introduced, CTN came up, issues were there to be resolved, and so obviously we needed energy to get all those turbulences settled. Then on 2019 came, and then COVID started. So in as much as we were trying to sort of get appreciable rate for members, we had issues to contend with. And also, of course, sympathizing with shippers, we thought that cost of doing business at the port was increasing. So as it is increasing, do we, put more sort of stress on the shipper? No. Let us manage what we have and then look for a better time. And so it went on. They had the patience until this invitation came that we should come for the negotiation. Then quickly we obliged. And also, it is their function as our authority, having the legal mandate to do so. And as law-abiding citizens, we have to present ourselves and make sure that right thing is done. And that's what we've done till the new rate coming up today.
I'll be coming back to you to find out whether you are really satisfied with what you arrived at. But let me come to Mr. Sedudate and find out what, the duration, how long it took for you to conclude the negotiations, and what the nature of the negotiations were, whether there were some turbulence, some difficulties along the line in the process.
Okay. So I'll start off with the second. We have established a mechanism by which these negotiations are done. Indeed, as is prescribed in the law, the Ghana Shippers Authority is required to send an invitation, and then the service provider would provide the proposals.
Right.
Then the Ghana Shippers Authority would go ahead and engage stakeholders to get views on what people really think about those proposals. We do our own research to find out whether those proposals were indeed tenable. So once all of that feedback is gathered, then we now invite the specific service provider to table, and then we start off with a discussion. But again, in this particular instance, the negotiations took longer than we all anticipated. And it's for a number of reasons. Okay, so under normal circumstances, if we're running the same system, you come for negotiations, you look at what happened the previous year or the 2 years before, you look at the system, and then you apply some increases and where they are necessary. But in this particular instance, because they are taking so long, a number of things had happened. We had the platform on which the cargo clearance process is done. The platform had changed. What that meant was that the work that the freight forwarder does has also changed. Because with the change of the platform, some procedures, it came with procedural changes. And that implied that the work that the freight forwarder has to do also changed.
Right.
Okay. Now, again, you find out that with the new systems coming on board, it also required that the freight forwarders needed to have certain infrastructure to be able to deal with the current system. All of that then required that we needed to do more like a step-by-step walkthrough of the process.
Right.
Because, previously, for instance, once you submit your declaration, then you get your feedback, you have to go to the long room and go for physical compliance. So you finish from the long room, then you now have to wait for the officer who will do the physical examination. And sometimes the officer is allocated by the system, so you have to wait. If the officer is not available, you wait, And when you have gone to the outdoor to go and do your physical examination, it comes with a number of other issues. Today, with ICOMS, once declaration goes, you receive your BOE in BOE. It goes to CTSB. They do all of the things. You don't need to follow through that process. So once it comes to you, you send a service request. And then officer to do physical examination is nominated. You finish with that process, and then you are through. Previously, you are limited to 2 banks. Today, you have the flexibility of paying at any bank. Indeed, today, you have digital platforms that facilitate the payment of duty. And so a number of things have happened. And consequently, you could not take everything that was submitted in 2016 en bloc in terms of the input of the freight forwarder. And so in this case, a number of things that we focused on. One, we wanted to know the input of the freight forwarder in the process. Number 2, we wanted to know what systems or what devices were required to be able to meet that. And then try and, see whether the proposal in terms of the charge is commensurate with the service that was.
Okay.
And we did so for practically each process. So it took us a bit of time. When it comes to transit, it's the same. And this tariff is all-encompassing. It has to do with the clearance of general goods, vehicles, transit cargo, what applies at the borders, what happens at the airport. So it's a very comprehensive document. And consequently, it took us a bit of time because we wanted to get it right. And I'm glad that we have gotten something that is workable, and both parties are quite happy with the outcome.
Yes. All right, so I said I was going to come to you and find out whether you are satisfied with the rates that you've arrived at, and if you will, walk us through some of the rates. I also have a very, very funny question. Do you share these rates with your clients?
Oh, okay. All right. Let me begin with that.
Yes.
We do share with our clients, because we always want to be transparent with the client, to build confidence. And then that is what, it even creates loyalty and honesty
trust,
between us. Yes, so we do share with our clients.
Right.
But using the 2016 tariff as a reference, in fact, we proposed a certain percentage increase. Of course, and that was what we really fought for. Because 2016, as he said, dollar was 3.9. And now dollar 11% going. If you look at the margin, it's over 300%. And so why don't we then go for 250% increase? Because even the tariff as we have today...
But the dollar has further come down now.
Oh, no. We were looking at the time of the negotiation.
Okay.
Yes, it was 11.
Okay.
Inflation was 40.4 as against 17.5 in 2016. And so even fuel prices. Okay, so putting all these together, then the best we could have gone was for 250%. And again, the rates, even as we have today, is going to last for 2 more years, of which economic, activities and the uncertainties are there being expected. And so then we needed more. But I'm sure most shippers appreciate the kind of service we render. Getting goods out of the port, if you scale all the activities that get goods out of the port, freight forwarder offers about 70%, if not over, of these activities.
Your microphone.
Okay? Because we do pre-arrival, activities are there that we perform. When the cargo arrives, there are activities that we perform. And then post-arrival, when the cargo has arrived and even cleared, activities that we perform.
Right.
And so we really assessing the intensity of these services, then we need more percentage. But then, as I said, there's an adage that where a place that gives daily bread, you don't destroy the place. Or the golden hen that lays the golden eggs, obviously you cannot strangle or kill it. And so that's where we had engagement, a lot of disagreement. And I must say that this was most hectic negotiation process that really was subjected to.
Okay.
In 2016, we used only 2 days.
Okay.
I previewed to be part of the committee. We went with our tariff, we explained, some adjustments were made. The following day, phone calls were done to sort of conclude, and we were done.
Okay.
Okay. But this time, it took us 6 good months. Our first meeting was 4th of May, and we concluded in October. So it was very intense. But we understood the process, that we need to get it right, so that here we are giving answers to certain questions. We didn't know where we'll be again to give answers to such questions. And then my senior brother happened to be one of the faithful. I think he was in it before joining authority. So he had a lot of experience.
I see.
I tell you, he had a lot of experience that whatever you say, he has answers as in to explain why. Because he wanted to really get value for that service. So in most cases, we had to put the negotiation on hold for him to send a team to report, engage shippers, come up with some findings. Then we come again to, okay, based on what I've gotten from the field, I think we should go this way or should go that way. But as I said, we are more closer to the shippers. We see what they go through. And we also know that they are very vital in our existence. And so, of course, we need to try as much as possible to compromise so that trade will go on and then our businesses will also thrive.
Let me find out from you, what was the highest percentage and what was the lowest in terms of the negotiations?
Well, so far the highest we had was 110%. And so 110% from 2016 to 2022 and 2024, obviously, is woefully inadequate. And even now, we're having feedback from our members. But as I said, we've been explaining to them the need to compromise, that we hope for the better. Because when you have volumes, at least you can make some profit. So we're praying for volumes. And to get volumes, the shipper should be at a very positive place. Should have a conducive atmosphere to import so that volumes will come. But to be honest with you, if you look at the dollar to the cedi in 2016, the values in 2016 are even better than the values we're having now, even though the figure seems high. If you do calculations, you see that there's a decline of 5%, 20%, even up to 92% decline compared to the value of 2016. But as I said, we want the shipper to be comfortable to develop the business, then we can get the volumes and break even.
Okay, I just want to find out from you, having negotiations for spanning like 6 months isn't a small thing. Were you satisfied with the process of the negotiations?
We were satisfied because it's a legal mandate that the authority, has to do. And we need to give them the support. Because when we give them the support, then another stakeholder will also give them the support, which we're expecting them to do. And so, of course, we really understood the process. And as I said, transparency, honesty. We wanted to follow through so that our clients, our shippers, will say, oh, we even have, sort of passion or compassion. We sympathize with them. And so we were okay with the process.
Okay. All right. So he says you were afraid for that. It seems you checkmated them, each step of the way during the negotiations. Were you afraid for that before you joined the Ghana Shippers?
No, for the records, I was not afraid for that before.
He's running away.
I see.
He talks about 6 months. And then, of course, if someone listening to this might think that, no, but that is way too long. So why would it take so long a time to do that? As I indicated, the document we are dealing with is a very comprehensive document. So, for instance, you are dealing with all of what happens in the airport. And you must understand that the airport processes are slightly different from what happens at the seaport. And so, while we are focusing on the seaport and dealing with all the other issues, the general cargoes, the various vehicles, and when we talk about vehicle categories, we are talking from even motorcycle to saloon car to SUV, earth-moving equipment, and all of those things. You need to understand why, for instance, should we accept maybe a 250% jump from the figure? What is the process? What was the process? What has changed? Does that require this percentage jump? We needed to be meticulous and to ensure that we get value for the Ghanaian shipper.
Right.
You know, who is going. And then after doing the seaport, we had to do the airport, we had to do the land borders, and we had to do for transit. I mean, so you understand that these are different components, and then we had to do for consolidators. Indeed, not to preempt, you know, that discussion, even with the case of the consolidators, still there are some outstanding aspects because we had to hold a specific meeting with all the consolidators. And when you look at the consolidators, there are those without their own CFS.
Right.
And then those who have their own CFS.
That's cost insurance and freight, yes.
No, this is like a
warehouse
facility.
Okay.
And so their
Not
operations
CIF,
are different. And so you cannot apply the same system across. No. So we look at those without CFS, we seem to make a lot of progress. Now you come to those who are handling their own CFSs, and then the models are different. So you have to now consider what kind of good, what kind of facility they're using, and all of those other elements that come into it. The administrative costs are also very different. But the outstanding issue that has to do with the consolidators is the fact that the shipping line charge is a component part of their charge to the shipper.
Right.
And because a number of those charges are in dollars, and with our current circumstance where the dollar, the exchange rate is fluctuating significantly, you realize that you cannot fix a certain rate and expect that, you know, they would cope with it when the fluctuation, you know, goes to a higher extent. I mean, then they would be at the losing end. And so we are developing models, and we have just finished developing them. I was telling PK before we came on set that we want to run scenarios through setting live transactions and see how that works out. Because at the end of the day, we want to do a good job and ensure that, you know, all parties are happy going forward.
All right, so you mentioned the fact that when the negotiations were going on, that's when the dollar was 11 something. Now the dollar is 8 something. And so is there likely to be a downward review? Or you want to leave it at that?
Well, I think that even though the dollar was 11 at the time when we had the negotiations, it did not, if you like, it was not the major reason, but there are a number of other reasons that we put together. So it was a basket of different variables. And it is, so the variation we are having now will not significantly impact. And then again, I must say, and if there is anything that we have achieved with this process that I'm very excited about, it is the fact that we have, through this process, been able to deal with the element of miscellaneous charges. You know, previously, you would go to clear a certain cargo. And then you are told, well, I'm charging you 800 Ghana cedis. But then when you are finished paying the 800 Ghana cedis, the agent will tell you, well, I needed money to sort this one out, sort this guy out, sort this person out, do this, do this movement. And so all of that maybe comes to about 1,200. What the person is doing is that through that process, effectively, you are paying 2,000 for clearing that container. But he has just charged you officially 800 Ghana cedis because that is what maybe he was supposed to charge. But what we are seeking to do and what we have achieved today is that beginning 1st January 2023, the issue of miscellaneous is done with. So everything is consolidated in the charge. And we expect that the freight forwarders will be able to operate within that scope. Now, the benefit for the shipper also is that now you can have a receipt that is a true reflection of how much you spent clearing the goods. So there's no hidden costs behind that.
All right. So I'll still stick with you a little more longer. I just want to find out from you. You mentioned the fact that, yes, the way things are done at the airport, rightfully so, are different from the way things are done at the seaport and even the land borders and all that. And because it took a longer period to negotiate, and you had to go into it meticulously to ensure that all these things were looked at, before you, initialed the document. I just want to find from you some of the factors that went into the negotiations whilst we were at it.
Oh, I think the factors, they are the same basic ones that we all know. For instance, I mean, we are looking at the inflation rate. We are looking at, well, to some extent, the exchange rate. Because, like it or not, that gives you a sense of the real value of the money you are collecting. So that also played a key part. And then you're looking also at fuel costs. Because again, for some of the processes, the freight forwarder will need to trek a few times. And even with some of the contracts, he takes on the movement of the goods from the port to the consignee's warehouse or shop or anything like that. And so we considered a number of all of those things. And as I indicated, we also looked at the effort. Because remember, these are professional fees. Professional fees. So you wanted to know what is the task? What does that exact from the freight forwarder?
Right.
And so if you do all of that, you can have a fair estimate of what should be a commensurate figure for that service. And so when you put all of that in a model, I mean, a figure comes out, and that tends to be the right figure.
Right. Yes. Okay, so let me come to you and find out whether you are satisfied with all the things that have been captured in the current document that you initialed with the Ghana Shippers Authority, or you think that there are other areas that you want to avert the authorities' mind to so that they can further deal with.
Thank you, Mr. Mona. As I initially said, we have a lot of operational costs that we incur to even keep us in business. Because almost every freight forwarder has to get licenses, permits, and then a whole lot of expenses to make. We pay to get license from customs. We pay to get renewal permit from GPHA to enter the port. Right. We do the same with the petroleum commissioners of us in the petroleum industry. We do permit from minerals commission for those of us handling mining equipment. And some of them are as high as $6,000. To be able to clear mining or offer mining support services, you are to pay $6,000 to get permit to work.
From where?
Minerals commission.
Okay.
And in addition to that, you have about $750 as processing fee and then forms. So throughout the year, how many jobs are you going to do to offset that $6,000+?
Yeah.
Okay, and then now with ICOMS, a new platform coming, every freight forwarder should be up and doing data, because now we do more activities on data. Now, in addition to that, shipping lines, when COVID struck, a change came whereby now you have to initiate online. You have to now go to bank. You travel all the way to the bank to make payments, come back to your office, and then request for even the receipts of the payment you've made into their account. Before then, you request for shipping lines release. Okay? Now, let's come to the EMDAs. You know, FDA, Standards Authority, EPA, Veterinary, PPA, all of them, we need to make applications to inform them that this consignment has come in port. We're going to handle it. We need their approval. Okay? Right. After initiating this application online, sometimes you follow up with calls. Sometimes you need to travel to follow up from their offices. Right. We travel as far as Pokwasi to follow up on permits or approvals. And from Tema to Pokwasi, Takoradi to Pokwasi, Luguje to Pokwasi. You know, so these are the things that we brought to the fore. That I think more work has to be done, okay, whereby activities will be streamlined, to be simplified in a way that we don't spend so much time, so much energy, and so much resources. Because all these things come to cost. Right. And that cost should be obviously transferred to the shipper. But the unfortunate part is that the shipper will also transfer it to the consumer, who are you and I. So we need a lot of work to be done in the simplification of the processes at the port, so that then we are okay. But other than that, this document should be a work in progress, because there are a lot of factors still there to be tackled with.
Now, how do you hope to assist or support the Shippers Authority to ensure the application of these rates fairly across the board?
Well, in fact, the first call I had after this tariff was published was from CTFM.
Okay.
On the early mornings of 3rd of January. And so which means that it is traveling, okay? It is really getting to the people that need this information.
Absolutely.
Now, but in addition to that, of course, our members, we've informed our members, we've asked them to put them on their website. Some companies who also have a website should also put them on their website and share copies with the clients.
Right.
But our situation, we deal with regular clients and occasional clients. For the regular clients, you can easily give them a copy.
Right.
But with occasional ones, they will be giving copies as and when they come.
Absolutely.
And most of them might not even ask for copy, but then we just have to inform them. And thankfully, Shippers Authority does that by putting on their website that don't pay more than this. So it means that's what they're also going to see. Because since 2016, when the first tariff was published, a lot of people got informed.
Right.
You know, they do organize a lot of seminars and engagement with the shippers, so they inform them.
Right.
So these are the means with which the information is trickling down to the shippers.
Okay. All right, let me come to Mr. Asedu and find out from you if you can walk us through some of the individual, goods or products that were negotiated under this particular, this current document that you have.
Yes. Okay.
Items, so to speak.
As I indicated, it's a very huge document, but
Yes.
I'll just pick a few. For instance, so if you take saloon cars, okay, if you take saloon cars, ordinarily, I mean, 2016, the charge that we agreed on was 567. So a freight forwarder will take your documents, go through the process, clear your vehicle for you, and then you pay him 567.
Okay.
And that was the appropriate charge. But that also came with a miscellaneous charge.
Right.
But now, with the negotiations that we have done, if you were to bring in a saloon car, you will be paying 1,300 Ghana cedis. And we do think that this is a fair value.
From 567?
From 567 to 1,300.
Over a 6-year period.
Over a 6-year period. That is fair deal. Then containerized cargo. So for a 20-footer container, previously the charge was 907 Ghana cedis, 20 pesos. That has been moved to 2,000 Ghana cedis. And again, as I indicated, there's an all-encompassing charge.
Right.
Yeah. And then for 40-footer general cargo, you have 1,209 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos previously. Today, it is 2,800 Ghana cedis.
When you say, before you continue, when you say all-encompassing, it means that the element of miscellaneous has been taken off?
Has been taken care of, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
all right, sure.
and
Okay.
taken care
Please,
of.
please, go ahead.
Yes. And, you know, the other services, they have special services. Special services like warehousing and ex-warehousing, bond-to-bond, those kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah. For warehousing and ex-warehousing, the charge was 264 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos. But that has been increased to 800 Ghana cedis for warehousing and ex-warehousing.
Okay.
So these are the ones I would want to mention for purposes of our discussion.
Right.
The entire document is available.
So the implementation of this particular new rates, does it start immediately? Is it in effect already?
Yes, in principle, yes, it is, yes. Because as I indicated, at the tail end of the discussions, when things began to crystallize, you know, we already began to hit our key stakeholders and get them aware of what is going on. Once we concluded and the document was eventually signed, we also have disseminated the tariff to our key stakeholders, and
right.
and it's in wide circulation. So almost everybody who wants to know about it would have access to it, and already the feedback we are getting is that everything is okay.
Okay.
But of course, if there are any specific challenges, once it comes up, I think we'll deal with them on a case-by-case basis. Yes.
Okay.
And as I indicated, the consolidation portion is still work in progress. We do hope that by close of January, we'll be able to bring finality to it because of some of those elements that I mentioned previously that are preventing us from closing in on that one.
And so the next negotiation date will be in 2024?
We do hope that, yes, it would be in 2024 for implementation in 2025.
Okay,
yes.
All right, great. Okay, so let me find out from you. Ms. Linus, we just mentioned it. Is this something you still, add to your...
Yeah, but Ms. Linus, as you said, it means that there's a special service that the freight forwarder is rendering outside his scope of operation. And so now I think things are being improved, okay? At first we had compliance seats after duty is paid. Now it is not there. We only have examination that after duty is paid, you just go for release and then go to the terminal and work on it. And now customs has set up a committee to monitor the time of release. So if release from the officer is delaying, we expect that you report to the committee. So it means we need to then get access to the committee. And I'm sure the committee also is doing their work to monitor and ensure that officers don't delay unduly.
Right.
But you see, as I said, there are certain activities that is not in the scope of the freight forwarder. And I think in the engagement with the shippers, they should make these things known to them. And some of them are deliberately created by other stakeholders.
Okay.
And also, we would wish that we do more engagement on certain decouplings that they are supposed to do.
Okay.
Because there are certain impediments that causes the freight forwarder or the agent to demand, as in a token, to go and facilitate a process. If these things are taken out, you don't need anything to go and induce anybody to work for you because it is their job.
Right.
Now, let me give you a typical example. Now we have pre-manifest processes of BOEs. So you can send your BOE, get your duty, and even pay before vessel arrives.
Right.
Now, when vessel arrives, you need to match that BOE that you pay duty on with the manifest sent to the ICOM system before the shipping line can release the cargo. Good. So we call manifest matching.
Right.
So we have instances where certain containers are not to be cleared at the terminal where the vessel discharged.
Right.
So they should be transferred to other terminals like TBT for dangerous goods, GJT for containers with vehicles and personal effects.
Right.
And so when those containers have not been moved from MPS to GJT or TBT, they have not been carried into the terminal that is meant to be worked on.
Okay.
And so that container will still be at MPS, and then you need to fight, move, write letters. We have a lot of movement that you need to travel to MPS. Why having to bring my container? Oh, it's going to come. Sometimes 2 days, sometimes a week. Meanwhile, you have only 7 days in port to release the container to the shipping line.
Right.
So these are some of the challenges that we have. If we have, or if we're able to decouple, okay, that so long as the vessel container has arrived, manifest is sent to the ICOMs, that are customs.
Yes.
Container is duly verified to have arrived. Manifest should be matched. Even though it should be transferred to GJT or TBT, just manifest should be matched so that you can go ahead with the process. By the time you're done with the release, the container might have been transferred there.
Right.
But because they are waiting for the container to be transferred there, that delay is a problem.
Right.
And so this is what will force the agent to say, okay, I need some inducement. So give it to me, let me go and induce. So why don't you take them out? Again, we deal with shipping lines. Shipping lines, when your consignments come and they send manifest to the customs, they deal with you, pay their charges. If you are the rightful owner of the cargo, bring your original bill of lading, Seaway bill or Telex. Cargo is released to you. Now, why can't we deal with shipping line separately?
Okay.
That have come, cargo has arrived, your bill has been paid. Give me my release. Then I go to customs.
Right.
Cargo has arrived. I paid your duties and taxes. Give me my release. We should not tie the two together that until shipping line has released you, customs should not release you.
Right.
Because customs receive payments via online portal.
Yes.
You can make duties of payment of duties
In the case
anytime.
in the case of the shipping line, you have to go there.
You have to go there. Few ones are trying to come up with some portals which are not working. Few are trying to use Momo payment, which are also not working. You know, so we need to really analyze this particular carried in, gate in, you know, and the manifest matching system. If that is done and streamlined, there wouldn't be any stress for any other person to take anything extra to induce as miscellaneous.
Okay, so yes, you want to add something?
Let me just make a quick comment. I think that, in all honesty, the two issues he has raised are legitimate issues.
Right.
And I think that these are issues that our various agencies will need to look at very closely. Because you see, when you look at the gate in, gate out processes and carried in issues that containers have to be moved from the terminal to the specific area where they are going to be, you know, cleared, so to speak. You know, that is not a job for the freight forwarder. That is a job for the terminal and ICOMS, the custom system, and the shipping. So these are back-end issues that have to be sorted. It is not a job for the freight forwarder to come in and then seek to induce somebody to do that. And I think that if everybody is, you know, taking up their responsibility in this regard, we wouldn't have the number of the issues we are having. Then he talks also about decoupling shipping line release and customs release and duty payment and all of that. I think a number of complaints have come to our desk.
Okay.
And I am aware that GIF has made some representation in this regard to government. And I am looking forward that 2023, I mean, whatever is required, we may need to sit around the table, you know, look at the issues and put them right. I am also aware that government is taking some steps, you know, to kind of, how do I put it, you know, ensure that there's a certain revenue assurance for government. And I'm sure that once that comes into play, the approval of this request would follow.
Okay.
I am quite certain.
Right.
And so I'm looking forward to the year 2023. And once all of this fall in place, it should be possible for government. Because again, you see, the only reason why there is some relaxation, no, not some relaxation. There is some hesitation.
Yes.
Some hesitation in getting this done is because government needs to be sure that all of the revenue that is due government comes to government.
Right.
Because that one, you can't take it for granted. Yeah, sure. And so once all of these measures that I'm talking about are fully implemented, I am sure then it gives that freedom to now allow this approval, and then maybe we can make some progress in that regard.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so this is Eye on Port here on Metropolitan Television. We are going for a very quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Please do stay with us.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Gold Super XP Run 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Gold Super XP Run 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Gold Super XP Run 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Gold Super XP Run 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance. Oh, Ajima, tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
All right, so you're welcome back. I've been told by the production team that we can activate the phone lines. The number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. For now, I would like to go into the messages. That's the inbox. This one says, the man from Shippers Authority speaks well, has enlightened me a lot. They are really doing well with these negotiations. We need to commend them and give. This one's from Kwame. He's sending it from Tema. This one says, Ohima in Tema. That's Pauline. Good evening, Ohima. She's a regular texter and a viewer. She says, happy prosperous new year. I am Port. Special good evening to your guests, my big twin brother, PK, and my boss, Uncle Fred. We await the official GSA charges for the shipping lines too. The issue of their exchange rate and its rate of change, container cleaning fees, etc. Sanitization in the shipping line charges will greatly relieve the Ghanaian shipper from unnecessary costs. This would help to stabilize prices of goods as the shipper can factor all those negotiated rates into operational expenses of the shipper. We want these achievements to be improved upon to create a better outlook. This one is also from Sylvia in Kumasi. This one says, good evening, Mr. Host. Please, I would like to know from Mr. Asiedu what Shippers Authority is doing for importers with the high shipping line charges. Okay, it's the same thing as Wahima sent. Importers are being charged to pay. This one is from George Nyasemche Mensa. All right.
That's my brother.
Oh, that's your brother. Okay, yes. So he sent in that one. And I think this one, it says, my name is Obaya from Tema. I want to know what are some of the ways PK Mensa suggests processes can be simplified at the ports. Okay, and this one says, this is from Cliff from La Paz. He says, I want to know how much I'll pay for a clearing agent to clear my 40-footer container I've consolidated with 2 other importers. My stuff are electrical appliances. So let's see if we can proffer some answers, and then we move on.
All right, so to start with the processes to be simplified.
Yes.
Yes, I mentioned that the issue of carried-in, gate-in system should be handled well, as in should be reviewed.
Yes.
That so long as manifest has been sent to ICAMS,
Yes.
customs received it, cargo has arrived, and it is duly verified to have arrived, manifest should be matched.
Yes.
Instead of waiting to be carried in, as in to be transferred from one terminal to another terminal because of the delay. Because if you approve the manifest matching, the person can go ahead to effect the shipping line release.
Yes.
Now, in getting shipping line release these days, you are to go to the commercial bank,
yes,
join the queue, make their payment, go back to your office, send your pay-in slip to them by mail, and request for their official receipt.
Yes.
Before you can then add that official receipt to your document needed for the release, and then send requesting for the final release. And you know the commercial bank, at certain points, the whole day you can spend it at the bank.
Yes.
And so if the manifest is matched, to avoid that delay, the person can use that time to do this back and forth with the shipping line and then get a release. By the time the release is done, manifest or the cargo might have been transferred to the appropriate terminal.
Right.
And then it's gone through. And then also the decoupling, as I said.
Yes.
If we're able to deal with shipping line separately, deal with customs separately, because with the ICAMS, every stakeholder to monitor revenue payments has access.
Right.
The moment duty is paid, it is there. It's clear. The BOE, the container mess pop up. Okay? So there's no way, if you've not paid, cargo can be released for you to go.
Right.
You see, we have consignments that are treated as green with the green channel. You know the risk management system.
Sure.
So this delay even is able to hold this consignment released. Because if it is on green channel, when duty is paid, sometimes release is done automatically because the person has no issues to be detained.
Yeah.
But because of this delay of shipping line release, that cargo can still be subjected to demurrage, which is unfair.
Okay.
So as I said, these are technicalities, and there's the need for stakeholder engagement, for extensive discussions, and then we make it good.
Okay.
For all of us.
All right. Okay, let me come to Mr. Asiedu that with this one from Ohima, shipping line charges.
Yes.
When?
Now, the shipping line charges. This is a big one.
Yes, I know.
I must say that the same law that has empowered us to negotiate with freight forwarders is the same law that empowers us to engage with the shipping lines as well. Because the operative word is shipping service providers. And these are actors along the shipping value chain who offer services to the shipper.
Right.
And so insofar as you're offering a service to the shipper, by the law, we are required to engage you to negotiate your charges on behalf of the shipper. And so what has the Ghana Shippers Authority done? We have engaged with the shipping lines. Indeed, we did so for 2021. And in 2022, following from some tariff adjustments by the Port Authority.
Yes.
There were significant adjustments with the shipping line charges as well. And there was an uproar in the industry. And so the matter came to the Honorable Minister for Transport, who directed that we needed to have another round of engagement and to ensure that these issues, plus some conditions, surrounding the service provision, are all considered, to enable shippers have a clear, some certainty, to introduce some certainty in the space.
Right.
In this particular instance, the minister also directed that the engagement should not just be by the Ghana Shippers Authority. We should also bring on board some representation from our friends from GUTA, who are shippers, and then also bring on board some representation from KOFA.
Okay.
And I'm glad that I'm here with PK because he also was a member of that team that met with practically all the shipping lines. And in our discussions, we discussed practically everything. For instance, we looked at the issue of container administrative charge. Now, if you look at container administrative charge, I do not want to bore you with the history of container administrative charge. But again, it's come to be accepted as a charge that, the shipping line would levy, to be able to handle the internal administration of the container in the process of release so that the container is duly released to the appropriate person.
Right.
But we are saying that if you have one container on a bill of lading, the same process of entering the BL number and doing all of what you have to do applies. But there are certain companies that will bring in about 50 containers on one BL.
Right.
The process of dealing with that is dealing with that one BL, going through that process, ticking the various container numbers, confirming and releasing. And so it does not significantly depart from the effort that is required for the release of one container on a BL. But as the case stands, if the charge is, say, call it $120 on a particular BL for one BL of one container. If you have 50 containers, they charge you $120 times 50 for one BL that has 50 containers on it. And we thought that was not fair. Another instance is the container cleaning charge. The case is that when a container is given to a shipper for shipment, once you discharge your goods, you are required to submit the container back to the shipping line in the same good order so that the next user would not have any challenge using the container. But if you bring in the container and, for instance, you are carrying, say, spare parts or used engines, and the container is soiled, you are required to clean the container. So in those instances, a container cleaning charge is a legitimate charge that is imposed to be able to get the container to its original position so that the next user would use. But you see, what is the practice in our place? During the engagement, the explanation we received was that the administrative processes of isolating the containers that are eventually soiled is so laborious. And so some of the shipping lines have thought it wise to apply the rate across. So irrespective of the kind of cargo you are carrying, you are paying a container cleaning charge. You could be carrying brand new fridges that are in cartons, that are, are loaded onto a container, and you take them off, and there is not as much as one sheet of paper lying in a container, but you will pay a container cleaning charge. And we think that this is not right, But there is some back and forth on the issue. And so what have we done? We have done a very beautiful report, and we have escalated it to the authority that gave us the mandate to do that round of engagement. And I have confidence that the Honorable Minister would make a declaration on the subject, and then we can proceed from that space.
Okay.
Because indeed, I agree with Ohima when she says that we need to sanitize the space. You know, what we seek to do in all of this is to introduce some certainty and some predictability, so people can play in the space and feel comfortable. You know, currently, the way it is as if it's a line mine. You are not sure where you're stepping, because when you step on something, you could be hit by anything else. And that is where we are. And I think it's a very serious matter we need to invest.
Okay. What about this one? The guy who says how much it would take for him to clear a 40-footer container, he's consolidated with 2 other people, and his goods are electricals.
Okay. So let me explain to him. When you talk about consolidation, now this is what it is. If you're consolidating cargo with other people, if the goods are consigned to one person, okay, so who has the responsibility of clearing? He will clear and share the cost, okay, for you. The general understanding is that we have about 56 CBM on a 40-footer container. Okay, so if you're doing consolidation, we count it on the basis of CBMs. So that is the total space that would fill a 40-footer container. And so whatever cost you're doing, if you're a consolidator, once you come in, they measure your goods, and they are already aware how much your CBM is.
Absolutely.
You know, so they divide the cost by the 56 CBM, and then they multiply that component to your CBM. And then that then tells you clearly what you are paying as far as the container is concerned. Yes.
Right. Okay. Okay, you want to add something?
Yes, to come into that, currently, the charges that go into clearance of such consignments, okay, obviously has to do with the duty, the shipping line charges, the terminal charges. So even the duty of the item depends on the HS code and the rate of duty.
Right.
And then also the EMD agencies that are connected to that consignment, they also have their charges.
Okay.
So you cannot just tell the person you are going to pay 10,000 to 8,000 to clear because you are sharing a container with 2 or 3. Because the shipping line charges, even as I speak to you now, you know, it's going 1 by 40 feet of container. Someone is charging 10,700. Another person charges 7,000. Now, to add to this, as far as the shipping line charges question that came up, that my senior brother spoke about, I think we should also look at the charges levied by the regulatory agencies. They are also offering service at the port. Have you considered them into negotiation? Because, you know, before a consignment, some certain kinds of cargoes are imported. Importers are to register with them, with samples. You register at a fee for a year. And at any time that the consignment comes to the port, you also have to apply for a permit or approval, also at a fee. So if you have FDA, you have registered your rice, you paid for the year or 2 or 3, depending upon the consignment. At every time that the rice comes to port, you also have to apply for an approval and then also pay a fee. And these fees are also part of the shipping services they render, like the freight forwarders, shipping lines, and the like. So I want to draw his attention that I think we need to bring them also on board and negotiate. Because we don't even know the criteria they use in charging. Okay? You just apply, and a bill that comes, you have to go and pay. With no basis of arriving at that fee. So I want to draw his attention. It is very important. Other than that, we won't have that sanity, because the shipper cannot then budget that I cleared for 40 feet container last week, I spent this much. The next time you come, and if FDA charge has increased, your budget will not work. So I want to draw his attention to that.
I'm glad he brought this up. Let me just address it.
Please do.
Briefly. Question is the Ghana Shippers Authority taking some action in this regard? Yes.
Okay.
In 2021, the Ghana Standards Authority wanted to increase their registration fees. I don't remember the amounts right now. I didn't know this was going to go. And I recall that we invited them together with the shippers. In the conference room of the Ghana Shippers Authority, we explained to him the turbulence we had at the time and all of the issues and why perhaps we could stand down on that proposal until such a time that, we could come back to it. And very graciously, they stood down. And so 2021 ran without any increases. I think the increases was done much later in 2022. As I speak with you, the Ghana Chamber of Commerce has also indicated they're increasing their charge for the certificate of origin. From 110 Ghana cedis to 220 Ghana cedis, which is like 100% increase. We have sent them information that they may need to hold on because we need to have some engagement. You see, we find ourselves in a space where if all of these things are not brought together and tied into one clean sheet, we are going to have everything and anything being thrown out, and then the shipper is at the receiving end.
Absolutely.
I know that Parliament has this fees and charges legislation that approves all these things. And it is one of the things we need to investigate further so that we can see at what point, these things are negotiated and at what point approval is given by Parliament for implementation. We need to tie all of this in neatly so that we can have a sanitized space. Because he is right. Sometimes without any prior information, without any engagement, then all you know is that you try to put in a certain request and then the fee comes. And the point is that at that point, if you don't pay the fee, you can't go to the next step. And so he makes a valid point, and I think it's something we need to give some attention.
Let me give PK 30 seconds to end your submissions because we are running out of time. So if you just your final words to perhaps your members and your clients and all that.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mona. I want to inform the stakeholders as far as our shippers community is concerned, and also the port community, that the freight forwarder is so passionate to help the operations at the port, to kind of increase the turnaround time of containers at the port. Because nobody would want to just delay unduly. And so whatever we do is in their own interest, and we need their support. Again, I want to encourage shippers that gone are the days that freight forwarders were under trees, you engage them, they have their car booth as their offices, and that is it. But now they have to get offices. They have to get employees. They have to pay expenses, tax, even filing for SNET. And so obviously there's costs. And so I want to ask for their support, but then not to allow price war, okay? Because you can still negotiate with your agents, and then you want to look for an agent who will charge you so low, then there's going to be a price war. You won't get the quality of service. You know that even duty rates of an item like rice, the same HS code header 1006, the next two headers of 10 can make you pay 5%. The other one can make you pay 20%. So if you don't get a professional forwarder, you lose money. So let's look for professionals.
We've run out of time. Yeah, sure, definitely. Thank you very much indeed. And so you have the reference point. If you want to know what rates you are going to be charged as a service provider or as an importer, please go to the Shippers Authority official website. I'm sure they will post them there. You can also contact your freight forwarder or your service provider, and then they'll tell you how much you're supposed to be paying. That way it helps you also plan and prepare for the clearance of your goods from the port. And that's how we draw the curtain on Iron Port tonight on Metropolitan Television. Tonight we've been looking at the newly negotiated rates for freight forwarders between the Ghana Shippers Authority and the Freight Forwarding Fraternity led by the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders and co-founder as a Committee of Freight Forwarder Associations here in Ghana. We've been speaking to Mr. Fred Asiedu, who is Head of Freight and Logistics at the Ghana Shippers Authority, and indeed in the studios has been Mr. P.K. Mensah, Paul Kwabena Mensah, Vice President, Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, who initialed for the Ghana Shippers, for the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, and the freight forwarding fraternity as far as that document is concerned. We're grateful to you for your time. We are hoping that next week we'll bounce back with another wonderful edition of Iron Port here on Metro TV. Remember, the abridged version of the show is aired on Ghana Television every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Make a date and don't be late. Indeed, we say thanks to our sponsors, Ghana Revenue Authority, Gold Company Limited, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, and Meridian Process. My name is Kennedy Mona. Have a super weekend and bless you. We say have a blessed week ahead. Good evening and keep enjoying the